Hello friends of the electrified charging fun and welcome to Everyday Life. As we all know, everyday life is what happens to us between the exceptions. And therefore we look at the ELROQ 85 like this one here in everyday life. And I mean real everyday life. So based on what we do regularly, or at least what I do regularly and what I think you might also experience every day. So this video is not into chapters for technology and drivetrain and suspension and infotainment. It is scenario based. So for example, commuting or running errands, driving to the DIY store to grab something for your garden or just to visit the family at the weekends. So you will find those scenarios in this video and how I experienced them with such an ELROQ. And I'm really curious if you find yourself in those scenarios. And therefore, it is not really important whether you have an ELROQ 85, a 50, a 60, a Sportline, because it depends on how you use it and not what equipment you have. And now, let's go. But what is this everyday life when it comes to a car? Well, everyday life, that's what you do regularly, recurring events in your daily life. Or in other words, what's normal and habitual and the routine for you. What you do daily. And it's not the exemption. Everyday life is exactly the life between those exemptions, between the contingencies. But when it comes to cars, it's completely different, right? Most of us are buying cars not for everyday life, but especially for the exemption. So you buy the car for those 10 or even just 5% of usage rather than for the 90 to 95% of usage. That's also normal. And therefore, I splitted this video into scenarios, everyday scenarios. I covered some of them, and at the end of the video I will also tell you why some scenarios are not in this video included but will be a separate video, and I have some questions for you. This should be one of the most everyday scenarios ever, commuting to work. So heading down to your parking lot, heading to your car. Maybe you have a jacket on, maybe you have another jacket with you or a little bag. So open up that door here and just throw the bag on the passenger side. And maybe you want to take care a bit more of your jacket. Well, then use the hanger provided by Skoda here on the side. You have one on each side. And let's put the jacket up there. Watch that nothing is in the doorway. Close it. Then I'll move over because I want to put the jacket from my suit on the other side where I have a hanger. You could use this one as well, or just put it on a hanger up here on the handlebar. This one is the hanger from Rati. I kind of like it. There's also a version available by Skoda, and that takes really good care of your jacket, but you will see mine doesn't need that anyways when you see how it looks. But let's put it on there. We are in a hurry, we don't have time. You see, this jacket, this jacket doesn't need a hanger. Close the door, and now time to unplug the car. And oh snap, I was not fast enough. It's already charging again and locked. Don't panic, just grab your key fob, hit open again, and the charging stops. Unplug the cable. Don't forget to close the lid. I see so many cars driving with an open lid. And put the cable back. Well, this is a bit difficult with one hand. Let me try. There you go. And time to get on the driver's seat and head to work. Well, this is a good time to show you how the turning circle of a rear-wheel drive ELROQ is, how small. Because normally my wife would park here next to me, and you see it's quite narrow to get out because you have a pillar here on the right. And when you drive out of your parking lot, well, you will meet the pillar on the other side. And with my RS, I can't get past that pillar here, so I have to drive out and then push forward. And now we look how this works with the ELROQ. So yeah, the big advantage of a rear-wheel drive ELROQ, I could pull out of the parking lot just flawlessly. I just imagined as if the car of my wife would be there just to showcase how it is, and I just passed that concrete pillar without any problems. And the second time I pulled out like I could, because there was no car at the side, so I directly turned, and you see how narrow that is, how good that car can maneuver in tight spaces. We are on the road now, and when you're commuting, well, at least when I did it, when I had my corporate jobs, I commute between 30 minutes or even 1.5 hours just one way. Well, I just want a bit of silence, listening to my music. I just want a bit of freedom. So I'm listening to music and I'm just driving. I don't want my car to do much for me. I know all the traffic jams along the route, so I don't need a route planner. I don't need charging on the way when I commute, and therefore the infotainment is barely used. It's only for music in the morning. That's it. I have reached the office. I'm at work right now, or to be more precise, I just took the commute way my wife drives when she goes to work. And here are the stats. And you will say, whoa, that's a pretty short way. And you are right. It's just 28 minutes, 22 kilometers. And I think these are average stats. 21 kilowatt hours, 100 kilometers. This is because we drove a bit uphill to get here, so this might not be normal, and it will go down when we drive back home. And when you're at work, your car will be there for 8 or 9 hours whatsoever, and if you're lucky, you can charge at work. This is pretty convenient, but if you can't, it's just standing there. I will not simulate that waiting time, so therefore we say, hey, it's time to go home now. We are driving home now, and sometimes when you're going home from work, you run some errands, you go shopping, whatsoever. And that is exactly what we will do. We will do a normal shopping for the week, and I'll show you how all those groceries are then in the boot and how much space it takes. Let's talk about another topic which definitely belongs into such an everyday usage video, and that is profiles and users. But unfortunately, this topic is way too big to fit into this video. Therefore, I will do a separate video solely on profiles and users and what is working and what not. But you should try it, because within a family, a car more often gets used by several people and not solely by one person only. And they improved quite a lot when it comes to profiles. There is way more information stored in the profiles than before, not only seat settings and mirror settings, also the position of the head-up display and several things of the infotainment. And they reduced the difference between the main user and the guest users. Don't think of guest users as the guest account here. Guest user means one with an account, but not the main user. So there is way more usage for a guest user. Try it out. And even between cars, you can have some settings transported over, for example, from an ELROQ to an Superb, but only those who make sense. So, for example, it does not make sense to transport seat settings or mirror settings from an ELROQ to an ENIAC or to an Superb. They don't do that. It sticks with the model. But from an ELROQ to an ELROQ, they do that. Back home from a long day of work, and here are the combined results of the drive. 16.3 kilowatt hours, 100 kilometers, which is a good consumption for 45 kilometers on the road. As I said, when driving back home, it will be significantly lower. And now, even though I'm tired, it's time to get all the shopping goods out of the boot, because I was shopping on my way home, but all the stuff is quite invisible. Time to get the groceries out of the boot, and normally I would do that there in the garage, but for recording it's easier here outside. And let me take you a bit closer, and here's what I meant. All the groceries are invisible, but these are typical stuff you have when you go shopping, like these baskets here. This one even fits with the carry up. You do not have to fold it down the handle. Then we've got another one again from Rati. I like this one because it's really stable and sturdy, and a typical box people use for shopping, which you can fold, so this typical folding box. And you see there's quite a lot space left here in the car for even more groceries. And you don't see any baskets for liquids, so the typical water basket, because we don't use them. We just drink water from the tap at home, so I can't show you. But I think you get a good grip of what fits into your boot when you run errands. And of course, I think this is way enough room for a family of 4 for the weekly shopping trip. That was a perfect demonstration of the way to sharp easy open. What happened was I put the protection mat down here, and it does not even need to swing beneath the car. It's enough that it is just straight down, and easy open things you want to close the boot. And this also happens if you're just here getting stuff out of the boot and a bit too close to your bumper, and again it triggers. Skoda has made easy open way too sensitive to operate it in a senseful way. I have reports from a lot of viewers who just got hit by that piece because simply they were at their boot. I can only recommend to turn off easy open, especially. Another scenario you might know is driving to your relatives or to your grandparents or your family on the weekend. Before we now hit the road for our weekend trip with one overnight stay, whatever you do, visit the relatives, go to your grandparents with your kids, or just the two of you going on a wellness trip, well, it's kind of easy. Just pack what you need, and of course you need some stuff. So let's start with 2 pieces of luggage, and maybe if you go with children you have everything they play with, and maybe even a small pet for them. And well, maybe you travel even further or with more people, well then just fit another piece of luggage in your boot. There you go. A loadout for a weekend, whether it is for 2 or 4, fits perfectly for an overnight stay. And now let's hit the road to reach our destination. And if you're on your way to your grandparents with your children, well, you make good use of your car and you use a lot of more systems than you would do on a short distance. If you use route guidance, you can switch to another system or use the one provided by Skoda. And we use the one provided by Skoda on our 5,000 kilometer road trip from Switzerland to Norway and back. And we always double check with Google Maps out of curiosity and because we thought maybe Google Maps is more accurate. And we got proven wrong. The in-car navigation really works well. On that road trip, it knew every traffic jam, every construction site, everything. Sometimes it was even better than Google, but at no time it was worse than Google, and therefore we switched over. I cannot explain to you why this is, but this is awesome. It's really great, and it's a helpful addition. Then, of course, if you're on such a long trip, you will hear music or some stories your kids like to listen to for the 12th or the 100th time. When you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. And of course, you use all the assistance systems. You want to make use of the travel assist. The most problems I have are with the road sign recognition, with the speed limits, because sometimes I have wrong recognitions. For example, just a couple of minutes ago here on the highway, there was a construction site 80. The car thought it is 120 due to map data. Volkswagen itself states around 97% of all recognitions over the group brands are correct. 3% are not. And I believe them, because you never notice when it is doing the things right. The ELROQ is doing a lot of things right. You'll only notice the flaws, and therefore you exaggerate the amount of flaws. Don't get me wrong, we are here on a road where I have a lot of wrong recognitions. Maybe we can even see the first one quite ahead of us, where it is 40 just for those who are driving to the rest station, while it is 120 here, or it's 60 and then 40. Let's see. I'm prepared. When you ask me what to improve, well, I would definitely say road sign recognition is the biggest thing they could make better. But we also should compare what is the ELROQ 85 in everyday driving capable of compared to other cars. And not compared to its siblings in the Volkswagen group, compared to other EVs. And when we do that, well, then the ELROQ is a really good one. And now we've got heavy rain. Whilst we started in the sunshine, now we are driving through rain. And this is perfect, because you can't get closer to everyday EV driving than this. Starting with way over 20 degrees and sunshine, and now are down to 14 degrees and a rainy road, where in an EV consumption will go up a bit. Those combustion cars on the road will barely notice that, but we do in an EV because we are so efficient. Time for some advertising, and don't get fooled, it's for myself, or to be more precise, for my Skoda e-guide. Are you new to e-mobility with a Skoda, like an ELROQ 85 like this, or another ELROQ or an ENYAC, and you still have questions left? Well, then my How to Skoda EV, my Skoda e-guide might be the solution for you. And no, I don't want to sell you anything. This is not a PDF behind a paywall. This is a video series with 8 episodes. Not a single episode is longer than 20 minutes, and it gives you an overview over everything which is important when you drive a Skoda EV. The assistance system, the infotainment, how to drive, how to charge, and everything else around Skoda's e-mobility. Back from my everyday trip on the street. 120 kilometers in a bit above 1.5 hours, 76 kilometers an hour on average, with a consumption of 16.4 kilowatt hours, 100 kilometers. And there you can see two things. First, this is a rear-wheel drive car. It's an ELROQ 85. No front wheel motor, and you see it. And another very important thing, 19-inch wheels and not 21-inch. And this again, taking that into consideration, yes, that could already lead to a consumption like that. And yes, I'm really happy about that value. I guess it's the most common scenario ever. Short distance driving. Whether you bring your children to school or kindergarten, visit a friend, running errands, or going to the do-it-yourself store, no matter what life throws at you or what you want to enjoy, driving short distances is one of the most done things with cars. Therefore, of course, it's part of an everyday usage video. And I, for myself, I will head to the do-it-yourself store, and then we can look at bulky stuff and how to stuff and store that in your ELROQ. When you're doing short distance drives, well, it's most often pure driving. You are not interested in route guidance, charge planning, maybe not even into the infotainment. It's simply hop into the car and start immediately. You do not want to wait for the car, you do not want to wait for the infotainment, it should simply work. And with the ELROQ it does. The car is directly capable to drive. So I got two of the most favorite things one can possibly buy at the DIY store. 2 bags of plant soil, 40 liters each, and 4 roof buttons with 2 meters of length. And as you saw how I put them in, you see that they are a bit here in the front area, because I just put them here on the middle console. And well, they are not secured. So talking about transport secure, this is not secure, but you can do it totally easy when you just move the front seat a bit. Let me do this and show you. It's quite easy to put them behind the seat all over to the other side. And you can now even move the seat way further back again. Let me do that quickly. Here we go. And adjust it a bit, so yeah, there's still a bit of room left here, and now the seat is even further behind than my driver's seat. So a passenger could sit without any problems just to the side of you, and you've got the roof buttons of 2 meter length there in your boot. Back from the DIY store, 19.5, now 19.7 kilowatt hours, 100 kilometers. Yes, this is high consumption. 5 kilometers just driven with an average speed of 15 kilometers an hour. Yes, this is the typical short distance driving. Well, to be honest, that average speed is not correct. This is simply because I filmed while the car was active. This also belongs to short distance drive, sitting in the car waiting for someone. So this reflects it quite perfectly in my opinion. So here we are with the stuff from the DIY store. And as you can see, those two bags of planting soil fit perfectly. You still got plenty of space here. So you could put in one bag in here, then you can put 4 on each side, so we've got 9 of these bags, and you still don't have to fold the rear seat nor remove this little piece up here just with a normal boot. And of course, if you remove the lid here or fold the seats, you get way more of that planting soil in. And regarding the roof buttons, well, they are here. They are here at the end of the boot. And when we look forward, you see they are lying here, and they are kind of quite good secured as well. And talking about the passenger seat in the front, you see now how much space here is left. So there is no problem for a person to sit here whilst you are transporting all of this stuff. But what if you've got even bigger things to carry and to transport than I showed you? Well, I got you covered. I got some common everyday things here. And this shelf here is 1.50 meters in height and around 60 centimeters in width. And if you put it into your ELROQ like this, well, it fits like charm. Let me show you. You have no problems to get a shelf like this into your car. You see there's still room left, and both passenger seat and driver seats are perfectly easy to use here. And of course you could even flip it and put it in like this. And you see there is still room there. It gets tight, but it fits. The boot closes. You are not very far out of the boot here. So you could even do this or just move the passenger seat a bit towards the front. Well, now let's move over to this big box over there. And I don't know even the dimensions of the box. Therefore, I have a meter. Let's see. It's, yes, 1.3 meters in width. This is 25 centimeters and the height is 85 centimeters. Now let's put that box in. Thank God it's empty. And again, you will see, you will have no problem to get such a big box in. And this comes even close a bit to shopping at a furniture shop like IKEA or IKEA, however it is called in English or in your country. And there is especially one problem when trying to put it in like this. You see, you need to lift it over the edge of the rear seats. Let me show you what I mean, because this is one big critique when it comes to the boot from my side. This is here, this edge. You've got this edge between the folded rear seat and the normal boot. And there is no way to level this. I would have hoped that this would be a leveled floor from the back to the front, but even within the ELROQ, this is not leveled. This car has the transport package, as you can see here, yet this does not help you. In the ELROQ, you have a floor for leveling that, but that just removes the gap. That does not bring the seats lower. And this is the flaw for me. That could have been done better to have a complete leveled floor. But now let's talk about the last piece I brought with me, those buttons here. They are merely the same as the ones we saw, yet these are 2.50 meters in length, not 2 meters. And you will see it immediately when I try to put them in the car. They don't fit. You could try to fit them here in the middle, push through, but let me show you. Now they are in. yet we are already at the display at the front. You should never store stuff like this in your car. This is way too dangerous. There is no transport safety given. Don't do that. But that would fit. But maybe there's another way, like this. And as you can see, this would also fit. Yet again, no transport safety. There you go. And done. Now let's try what space we've got. And no, this will not work. This is not an option, even if I place it like this. But you've got a third option, and that would to put this part all the way back. And this is what we do now. So now let's do this, and we are done again. Let me show you from another perspective. We are perfectly within the limits of the car here at the back and at the front. Still, this is not transport secured. So as you can see, this would work. Everyone's life is different, and life is full of flavors. And there's always one more story to tell and one more scenario to tackle. You might ask, where's the scenario sport, like going on a hike, but I bet you will believe me that some backpacks and boots are fitting perfectly into your car. Or like diving equipment, but I don't do diving, or driving your bicycle. Or you may ask, where is the scenario with the dog? And I can tell you, well, this is a separate video. I really love to do that, but this would be too much for this video, so this we will experience in a separate video. Or you might say, why didn't you show charging? Well, charging breaks down into two different parts. The first one is you can charge at home, and then what should I show you? You plug in when you're at home and you unplug when you're going on a drive. And if you're in the other group, well, you can't charge at home. Therefore, you have to go certain times to a fast charger or to an AC charger along the road. But what should I show you there? Just the waiting time for charging, and I bet you've got your favorite charger already selected. So you will always go to the same ones. When I look at the daily life and those scenarios, how few times I use the My Skoda app. I simply don't need it. Yeah, even not remote parking, remote access. And I can't think of functions I would use on a daily basis, but maybe I'm too old school here. And the other thing I notice is, well, the infotainment in the car. How few functions I use in everyday life. It's a complete different story on a long distance trip when you need charge planning and route guidance and. But in everyday life, I don't even half half of what I'm given in the car. And then there were some flaws. We already talked about that you have no levers for remote folding of the rear seats, or that there is that edge when you fold the rear seats, or that you don't have a glass roof and it's quite dark in the car. But notice something? In everyday life, my focus is on complete different stuff than on long distance trips, where I talk way more about software. But now I want to ask you, what did I miss? And how is the ELROQ working for you in everyday life? Write it down in the comments. And if you want to see something special here on the channel with an ELROQ or an ENIAC, also write it in the comments so I can take it as an idea for another video. And I hope we will see each other in that video. And until then, you might want to take the opportunity to support me if this video was helpful for you, and if this video gave you a worth, you might want to do something in return. You'll find ways to support me down in the video description. Another good support is a subscription or simply a thumbs up. And then we see each other in the next video. And until then, stay full of energy.